Ah, it's working. Good evening, everybody. I've just finished dinner, and I have also just finished watching qualifying. So, Newman, the first driver. Well, not the first driver, he's the fifth driver, but he's on pole position for the moment. Anyway, so 16 drivers in the grid today. Norris is like being a little bitch again post qualifying. He's probably saying Max was lucky or something like this. Just appreciate greatness, Lando. You're not that good, kid. As the Americans would say, you're not that guy, pal. As we see Ronaldinho into the pits. Kamil Plizhikinski, as he invalidated his attempt. So, Newman at the moment P1 with a 116.474. He's followed by Michael, I think it is. Mr. Lemkes. Then Zeman, currently in P3. And Vince Vincenza. I like Vince, he's a good lad. And then Ed Zach as well, another good lad. Axel Foley, who wanted a dry race for once. Last night in F3 was absolute chaos. And we'll ride on board with Alex Theodore as he's going up the hill in this tricky part of Sector 2 in Portimao. I love this track. Turn 1 in Portimao is called Portimao. So if you DNF into Portimao, your race is ended in Portimao. Portimao. Russell also complaining after the qualifying session that Max done something naughty to him. Who knows? Who cares? This is where it's at. As Diddy has set a purple Sector 2. After being so impressive last night for the majority of the race and then making just a very Alex Theodore mess of it. He's going to go across the line and it's going to be a 17.368. So only P5 for the moment. And is Vince about to start another lap? He is indeed the Canadian man. As he goes into the tricky turn 1, car in the 6th gear here. Have to be very careful to avoid that inside curb, and for the exact reason that it will unsettle the car, and that is Vince's qualifying lap done over. Kamil Plizhikinski, F4 driver, came 4th in F4, won F3 last night, currently in P5 here. A lot of questions to be answering there. Camel. Anyway, Ronaldinho is warming up his tyres. Bruce Lee, finally, hiya! Getting to commentate on him this season. This spot has somehow managed to... Dommy's here as well, I don't know who you are. Sorry, mate. Dommy is somehow... Or his spot has somehow managed to sneak into F2. I don't know how that's happened. Mateusz Tofolinski, very quick driver, as he's gearing up for his first flying lap attempt, and the stopwatch is on, ticking, going into turn 1 again. As we said, the exact same thing was happening with Vince. The only difference is he did not invalidate. Going into turn 3 now, up this tumultuous hill that is turn 4. DRS wide open here, but this is such a horrible collection of corners as Mateusz does set a purple Sector 1. Now into turn, I think it's 6 or whatever it is, 5, who knows, I haven't got a track map. Good overtaking spot here. There will be chaos there at the race, at the race start in lap 1. Now up the hills in Sector 2, then down the hill we go, seeing this V-Carb in action. Beautiful car which I drive in F4. Up the hill again. And downhill, a lot of elevation changes, a lot of off-camber corners here. As a result of that, it can be easy to invalidate there and get a track limit warning, as Mateusz sets a purple Sector 2 now as well. So some rapid pace here. Coming around here, the car can be in 3rd or 4th gear, really preference. Using as much of the track as possible. As a little pro tip for you guys out there, the more the car drifts out, the more you are pushing the limits. If you're able to steer the car off the limits or off the edge of the track, you're not pushing to the limits of the car. And Mateus does indeed go P2. Must have lost some time in the last sector with a 1:16.552. Lex Hod is starting his lap now. The Dutch terrorist, formerly of F3, looks to be okay. And he's entering into Sector 2 in just a second. Domi invalidated, that's no good for him. Bruce Lee gonna Kung Fu Karate kick his way into a decent starting position this evening. And what's it going to be for Mr. Lee as he rounds the final corner, and he's going to have a bit of DRS, and it's going to be a 1:17.451. Spinning kicks his way into the top 10. Is Edzak on a lap? He is not. No, he's just finished. So just over 8 minutes to go. As we see the Haas pit crew very slowly lift that car back into the garage. Caligula, I think, is Mohammed Isse, the Norwegian driver. Oh. As the Norwegian driver does decide to take out a few off the styrofoam boards. A hard track to cause a safety car in here. You have to be very special in the head to cause a safety car in Portugal. Kind of like Imola, I suppose. Imola is quite a hard one for, you know, for strategy, because it's very rare that a safety car does happen. But if it happens, it usually ruins everyone's strategies because people like to start on the hards. Anyway, so Mohammed sets a 1:26. That's not representative of his skill. And we'll see now what he does indeed come up with. Where is Mohammed Faizan? Hi, Calais. And what is this going to be? It's not going to be a purple sector when he's actually not even improved. He's 300ths off his time, or 3/10ths off his time, sorry. Which is no good here. There was a lot of rain in F3 last night. I'll say that. That's an understatement, but there was a hell of a lot of rain. Moving forward anyway. Again, up the hill and down the hill, slightly off camber. Very easy, and because of that, very easy to extend the track limits there and get a penalty or an invalidation. So even down here, like, it's just so many elevation changes in this track, and it makes it very difficult on traction. It makes it very difficult for drivers to just to handle, especially when tyre wear comes in later on in the race. Anyway, S14 not to a lap, Domi not to a lap, and that's a big improvement there, but it's only good enough for P14. Slowest of all drivers to set a time with just under 6 minutes to go. Domi has warmed up his tyres and he's going to go out again now. S14 currently in a warm-up lap himself. Newman not out of the garage yet. Mateus about to set another lap as he's warmed up his tyres. As he comes around the final corner. For anyone that has Call of Duty Black Ops 6, we will be doing a prop hunt party after F1, if anyone's interested in that. Some big notable names in the Ero going to be racing there. As Mateus invalidates again into turn 2. Another driver to fall victim in this, as Michel, or Michael Gavez, I think it is, Mr. Lemkis, coming up the hills in Sector 2. He looks to show some early pace. You have to be very careful not to invalidate there. Now, what can he do here? He just needs to find a few tenths. Not even, like 2 tenths is enough. As Lemkis does indeed give up on that lap. Domi, what is he going to do? Well, I think he's just after finishing his lap. Mason Piper, the American, who's shown some decent pace in F3. What can he do? As he is looking to get out of the bottom half of the tier. Nobody else out on the track, to be honest. Ed Saxon on outlap, but that's about it. As we're in that little period now where no driver will be setting a time, they'll just be waiting to the last few seconds to come out. As Ryan, no one said you could come in here. Get out. Out. This is not a bus stop. You cannot come and go as you please. Get out. Oh wait, no, you declared attendance, never mind. Why are you coming so late though? Why are you joining so late? You've like had 50, you've literally had 20 minutes to get into this lobby. I think it was been open a lot longer. Bruce Lee calling Samuel Newman a sandbagging knob. I couldn't agree more. Newman is a sandbagger. Him, Junaid, Faizan, Brezekinski, Ivan Belov, all of them sandbaggers. Sandbaggers. That's it, the sandbag bros. Right, just over 2 minutes to go. We have a few drivers in contention here. As Yeast is terrified of Alex Theodore dive bombing people. I think he's getting flashbacks to last night. Oh, he's talking about Shadow. Oh, okay. Right, well. Amazingly, as Ed Zach is retired in the session, everyone now out on the track, apart from Isfod and Lex. Amazingly, Ryan still hasn't gotten a season ban yet, and he's going that way. But, I don't know. Yeast, please be nice to me. Anyway, Zeman, the first of the top 5 to start a lap. I think Michael is starting just behind him. He has indeed. But we'll follow with Simon as Alex needs to get out of the way. And he has he? I think he has. Anyway, Zeman, so what's it going to be going into Sector 1? It's not going to be purple. It's marginally up in his time. But he needs to find a lot more time if he wants to improve. It looks like Mateus is going to be starting his lap as well, so we'll follow in him shortly after finishing up with Michael. Up the tricky hills now in Sector 2. What can the Polish man do? Zhenq, or Zeman Iwanik, as I like to call him. Good little lad. Commentator for F4, as he does set a purple Sector 2. He's proving by 1.5 tenths. That's looking somewhere at the moment in the Remo P3, potentially P2. Needs a monster third sector. Can he get it to go on to the front row? Maybe even into P1. At the moment, it's looking like the first two rows for him. As he crosses around the final corner now, what's it going to be as he crosses the line? It's going to be in the 16s. A 1:16.494. 200ths away from P1. Anyway, as Lemkis goes even faster with a 1:16.1. Now it's up to Mateus. What can he do next? Is Newman directly behind him? He is. So this is a real race to the end here. And is Mateus going to be even giving a toe to Samuel? That's the question here. I think Samuel's just a tiny bit too far back. But the Polish man here, rounding the final few corners, what can he do? In the V's, the Cash App, RB, A, B, C, D, whatever the hell you call it. And he stopped. He's given up. That's his qualifying over, and now it's up to Newman. Can Newman do it? Can he snatch pole away from Michael? He's going to be in the 16s as well. What's it going to be? No! He doesn't improve. And that is it. Lemkes will steal a pole position unless Vince Vincenza, he's not going to do anything. Bruce Lee, is he going to slap a time onto the leaderboard? No, he slaps it into the pits. Alex Theodore, well, never mind. And that's qualifying. Mason Piper, last driver, doesn't improve either. Well, there you have it, boys and girls. And everything else in between. Mr. Lemkes. Michael Gavez. I think it's Gavez, I think your name is. I have to find this out so I'm not ruining your moment. Yes, Michel Gavez. Michael Gavez? Michael Gavez, I suppose. Yes, as the Ryan Shinen abuse has already started in the chat. Yeast feeling like Nostradamus with a crystal ball. Vries wants Cannell to go to F3. He's not too happy. Anyway, who are we waiting for? Oh, Lemkes, because he went into it. Okay. Isfod decided not to set a time and to start from the back. Good lad. So it's going to be a disappointing qualifying session for Newman because he thought he had this the whole way. As I'm please waiting continuously to give you the final qualifying standings, but anyway. Still waiting. Well, I didn't even get to see the provisional standings, but I know Lemkes P1, Newman P2, and I think Zeman is P3. So we're going to get underway momentarily as we're just waiting for Shadow to load in. Oh, everyone's now trying to load in. I'm trying to load in. As we're sitting here on this fine Saturday evening, the last Saturday of November, and it looks to be dry in the Algarve. Apparently Max Verstappen's racing with us as well. I missed the glitch in F1 23 where the pick crew used to just stand out like NPCs with their arms open. That seems to have gone. Anyway, we're going to have a few red lights pop up in a second. They're going to disappear. We're going to get racing in F2. It's a bit of a ghosted start, but everyone's okay. Zima looks like a very, very strong start, and he's already challenging Newman for P2. Going into turn 1, hopefully no chaos. Newman keeps the position. Zima goes off the track. Everyone looks to survive. Newman keeping it for now. Mateusz Tofolinski also, he's been ghosted. A bit of contact between himself and his Polish compatriot. Everyone else seems to be okay. Edzak and Bios fighting. Kamil and Mason fighting. Vince Vincenza getting up positions. Mateusz has dropped down 2 places just now. The 2 Visa cars are going side by side into turn 4. Someone comes into contact with the back of Vince Vincenza's car. Axel Foley getting involved with Mateusz. And this is where Bastard Vries last night had an unfortunate moment in F4 which really derailed his chances of winning the race. As Alex Theodore already starting the torpedo antics. We're not even half a lap in, lad, and you're already starting it. Lex Hod and Ronaldinho fighting for who is the best footballer in the world. Definitely not fighting for P1 on the track. Isfan making up 1 position. Mohamed Issa a bit further off the grid. Lemkes already 1 second ahead of Samuel. Already breaking that DRS. But however, Zeman right on the back of Newman here. This is where it all happens now. And if you don't have low wings, you're just not going to get the overtakes as we saw in F4 last night. Alex Theodore overtaking Mateusz now for P7. And let's just have a look at the tyres. So everyone elected, well, not everyone, but a majority elected to start in the softs, apart from Newman, Alex, Mateus, Ronaldinho, Isfat and Mohammed. This is going to be an interesting race. We've got another yellow flag. And that looks to be Axel Foley. He must have had an incident going into the exit of 4. So, strategy in this race is usually a soft, medium, or medium soft, depending on how brave you are. Safety car windows playing a big element of the strategy here, but as we already said, there isn't many safety cars in Portimao. Lex and Domi fighting as Lex is a bit of a wobble there, but he seems to be okay. And Camel, our F3 winner, our F4 driver, he's battling with Lex Hod at the moment, and he's up to P10. As Lemkis goes even faster now with a 119.482. Axel Foley all the way to the back of the grid at the moment, unfortunately for him. So Zeman settling in here. He's over a second away. Newman's dropped back to P3, but that's okay because he's on the mediums as opposed to the soft runners. Axel into the pits already. I'm assuming he's got wing damage. And Bruce Lee karate chopping and spinning kicking Chuck Norris style his way into P4. At the moment, Vince Vincenza in P5. Mateusz Tofolinski, another medium runner in P6. These drivers are happy to let the race come to them, because they're going to be on the softer tyre in the second stint, or the second half of this race. So they're going to have the speed advantage. For them, it's just all about keeping a decent pace. As we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1 for Axel Foley coming out of the pits. Ronaldinho down to P16, as I think he went off the track. Now 1.5 seconds separates Michael and Zeman. Newman, though, sticking with him, and this is good for him being on the mediums. If he can stick with the soft runners for at least the first 6 or 7 laps until the crossover happens, he's going to be a very happy camper. And the DRS train really going to help here as well. As Bruce Lee and then Vince Vincenza immediately seating him for fastest lap of the race with a 119.454. And the pack relatively close here from P6 all the way down to P13. Very close. As we see a McLaren and of Lex and Edzak in the Ferrari fighting into turn 4. Lex is going to have a look at him here. Lex with a line that just kind of asks for trouble, to be honest. It's a bit of a no winning racing line there, taking the approach there. And Camel waiting in the wings. He's dropped down a position back down to P11. As I think Edzak had a bit of a moment there. He lost traction or something. As Axel's retired in the pits, that's enough for him today. And Shadow Shadow doing shadow things. Will say nothing. Yeast is smiling to himself. I can feel it already. Camel battling with the F3 driver, the former F4 driver. In fairness to him, I can't fault Ryan too much. He races all the time, so he's always a body, which is what we need, you know. But like, he is a bit of a terrorist on the track. Mason Piper staying with this group in front of him as Alex Theodore gets past Domi for P7. Alex the torpedo doing torpedo things. So the three medium runners all bunched together now, and they're really going to slow up the drivers in the softs behind. As Vince and Bruce Lee fighting now for P3. Nice little move there. We caught the end of it by Vince, sorry, I beg your pardon. And now Lemkes nearly 2 seconds ahead of Zeman. Excuse me. So Newman's really going to... I think he's going to hold up everybody here. Well, Mateus seems to have Samuel here. Seems to be better paced on those mediums. Will that change later on in the race? Who is to know? But the soft runners have broken away from the medium runners. Alex Theodore are hoping to catch up to this pack here because they're going to drive off into the wind when Mateus gets DRS. And here he comes, indeed, with the drag reduction system activated. That rear wing is going to be wide open, and he's going to get the pass very early into the main straight. What was that from Alex? Well, here comes Domi. Anyway, I think Alex is a bit snap of oversteer or something weird like that. Anyway, Domi up to P7 now. And Lex and Alex battling as some chaos has happened. And it's Ryan and Edzak who are involved. I don't know if it's just desync of the lobby or something or what, but that was a bit strange. Anyway, Alex and Lex still battling away. It looks to be a bit more desync as I can't tell if this is drivers having shakes or if it's just the lobby's a bit unstable. Or maybe it's my internet. Anyway, further up the field, not a lot changing there. Zeman's still P2. Vince, though, has closed in on Zeman. Domi's just after overtaking Alex. And Domi's all the way back down there now. He's dropping a lot of positions. He's dropped down to P11. And Bruce Lee going to have DRS here, just about hanging at the back of this group here. I'm assuming Vince is going to be able to overtake Zeman here. He's got more of a battery as well as Mateusz Tofolinski goes fastest on those medium tyres. That's an interesting statistic there. I doubt the crossover's already happened, but yes, it could be Bastian, but you know, whatever. I doubt the crossover's already happened, but here we are. Now, the Polish man down to P3, the Canadian up to P2. Bruce Lee waiting in the wings for any mistakes to capitalise. Michael's gone. He's over 2 seconds in the lead after 7 laps. Great stuff from him. Pulling away nicely as Shadow and Domi are fighting further down the field. Alex Theodore getting very close. Shadow's lost the position to Domi in turn 4. Turn 5 or whatever it is. As Shadow kind of rams Domi off the track. But look, this is a common occurrence that needs to be reported more. Now Newman down to P6, that's an interesting stat there. But again, he's just being patient, waiting for the race to come to him. Himself and Mateusz can kind of tow each other along here, which really helps both of their races, as Zeman is the first of the soft runners from the main group to be into the pits. Has he got wing damage? Very early pit stop here. No wing damage, he's just going onto the hard tyres. Interesting strategy here. Bit unorthodox here, so we're going to have a split of strategies now. We're going to have at least 3 different types of strategies to sit today. I don't actually know if the undercut is powerful here, but we'll see. As I'm assuming those softs just weren't feeling good for Zeman. Maybe he burned through them, maybe a few lockups or something like that. Anyway, that puts Vince Vincenza up to P2, and it's a Williams 1-3 at the moment, something you'll never see in real life these days. There's Michael now. As Vince is actually eating into Michael's time. He's only 2 seconds away, less than 2 seconds. And he's gaining as well. Michael seems to be struggling now ever since we started lap 8. The gap is only 1.5 seconds. Mateusz Tofolinski overtaking Bruce Lee. Newman as well, as Bruce Lee into the pits. So another soft runner pitting early in this race. As Newman takes turn 1 beautifully there. And we see he's really close back into the vicinity of his medium runner compatriot. Ronaldinho up to P14 as Bruce Lee has pit, and he's got onto the mediums. So interesting strategy there, looking to go to about 24 laps on the mediums. Maybe the mediums are faster now though at this point. Maybe the softs have crossed over. It's more than likely that's the case. Michael still 1.5 seconds clear. No one yet to get a penalty, which is a nice little statistic. No one yet to get a penalty. That's always nice. Now the gap is less than 1.5 seconds. Vince showing some great pace here. He's obviously able to handle the tyre wear a bit better than Michael is. Edzak and Shadow are fighting further down the field for P9. Both drivers should have DRS as Mateusz Tofolinski is our first. That is naughty by Shadow. That is very naughty. That is very, very, very naughty. That could have caused a big incident there. Especially with Mohamed Issa going very, very close to him. Oh. Anyway, we'll move on as Shadow does drop down to B11 and the Red Bull and Ferrari are fighting now here. Into the back of Mateusz as well. And he's going to have a big helping of DRS. Tow him along. Alex Theodore as well. So the medium's definitely faster at this point, no doubt about it. Well, okay, well we can't be there as Mohammed decides to mow the grass. Vince into the pits. The next of our soft runners to do so, and Newman not going to get the move into turn 1. And Vince is going to go on to the mediums, and that brings him down to 11th place. Maybe 12th? Maybe 13th. Yeah, 13th as well. He's not going to want to waste too much time behind those on the older tyres. So Newman really benefiting here. Now that Mateusz that 3-second penalty, that puts his aspirations for winning this race into doubt. And these two are really catching up with Michael. He needs to get a move on, Mr. Gavaz. Same with Alex Theodore. He's really closing in on Lex. I'm getting big helpings of DRS each lap goes by. Only one DRS zone on this. I'm sorry, 2 DRS zones on this track. Unlike some tracks which have 3 and 4. As Domi now goes onto the hards as well, so you've got 2 drivers running on the hards. And Newman again with another massive helping of DRS, but he's too far away this time. And he's just going to conserve his battery nicely enough here. Biding his time as Mason Piper into the pits along with Mohamed Issa. Interesting for him to drop into the pits unless he's got wing damage as well. No, just changing again onto the hards. Obviously not too happy with his mediums. As now the 3 medium runners from the start are all in the top 4. Race beginning to settle down a little bit though, and that lead is dwindling every lap that goes by, every corner that goes by almost, as the mediums just have that bit more pace. As Michael is into the pits finally, and that unleashes Newman and Mateusz and Newman, but Samuel just can't seem to get near the Polish man, even with the assisted DRS. Alex Theodore also making positions. Lex and Camel also pitting. Camel, the goated standings editor in Ero, we appreciate everything you do, sir. Shadow into the pits to plot his next act of terrorism. Vince Vincenza sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:19.2 on his fresh mediums. And Vince is going to be very close to the lead at this rate. He's going to be very, very close for when the leaders pit. Especially at this pace that he's going. If he's staying fast as laps, then if he gets behind S14, gets a bit of DRS from him, that's really going to help as well. So the Canadian not out of this just yet. I know there is a good bit of distance away. Almost, probably about 20 seconds, which is nearly a pit stop. So we'll see how this situation develops when the leaders do decide to pit. 20 laps to go or so. And the same can be said for Michael. Now, I think Michael's been undercut there by, well, he has obviously been undercut by Vince, but he really struggled in that second half of the stint on the softs. He pulled away nicely at the start as we missed Newman overtaking Mateus. So they're too busy as Samuel is a bit of a wobble and Mateus is a bit of a wobble as well. So here we go with DRS. Is he going to be near enough to make a move? No, he's not. A move there would be very foolish. Oh, this is the situation to watch now, because Vince is really catching it. He's closing in on S14. He's got DRS at S14 now. S14 really struggling on those 13-lap old mediums. And Michael doesn't seem to be gaining at all on Vince. This is really falling into the Aston Martin's hands here. He must have pulled a genius stroke of strategy as Mason's shadow fighting further down the field. As them two going sideways. I'm not even saying push to pass. It's just like a swipe to pass. Tinder to pass. But these two aren't finished dueling just yet by the looks of it. Newman and Mateus both pit. Now, the question is, where do they come out in relation to Vince? Speaking of Vince, is he going to get the DRS? No, he's kind of shot himself in the foot there, I have to think. But Samuel on the hards, Mateus on the hards. Edzak gets past both of them. Vince gets past both of them as well. So does Michael. So a lot of drivers electing for either the soft hard or the medium hard strategy, as opposed to what we saw in F4, which is problems for us. As opposed to what we saw in F4, which is a soft to medium. Edzak, I think, is the only driver actually electing for that. But he's going to drop all the way down, probably to P12 or so. He does decide to pit. So Vince Vincenza has the net lead of this race, but here comes Mr. Gavez really closing in now. Now that he's got those mediums up to speed and up to temperature. Just got to green them in so nicely in this thing. You got to be really, really gentle. I mean, otherwise you just burn through them way too quickly. And he's going to have DRS. Vince is going to be protected by the departing Edzak, who goes into the pits. Now Lemke's doing his best to stay with Vince, as Diddy, last of the top 8 or so to pit. Apart from misfall as well. My apologies. As we said, Edzak all the way down to P12. A bit of a disaster for him. But Michael not giving this up. He's really closing into the back of Vince, and he's sticking with him here through sector 2. Have to be very careful here not to miss your braking point and go into the back of the car of the driver in front, as we've seen so many times last night in F4 and in F3. Mateus just kind of coasting along now, just getting helpings of DRS from Newman. His race is kind of falling to pieces. Alex has got a penalty for something, God knows what. 3 seconds, okay. So Newman and Mateus really helped thinking to themselves that this race is going to come to them towards the last 5 or so laps, and those hards will be fine because the hards can literally run the whole race in any track. But they're all at the moment behind Isfod. 1 gets past, 2 gets past. Does Mateus try and double move here? He doesn't. As we have a Ferrari parked up somewhere. It's Domi mowing the grass. Anyway, Alex is still quite a ways ahead, and Michael is still close with Vince. It's all happening here, and the 2 hard runners of Newman, as Domi has retired in the pits. Unfortunately for him, that's his day over. And now, out of nowhere, Zeman Uanic has come back into this race. He's done 9-lap old hards though, so he's going to be much slower than his competitors, especially in the last third of this race or so. As we just cross over half race distance, this is a long race. Alex into the pits at long last. Here he's going to get rid of those, as Mason Piper was our 3rd driver today to get a track limit penalty. Get rid of those mediums, and he's probably going to stick the softs on if he's got any brains. Well, not for a conclusion, but like I'd assume he would stick the softs on. Yeah. And that brings Vince Vincenzo up to the race lead. Now, as we saw earlier, Michael rapid in the first half of the stint on those fresh softs, or whatever the tyre was. It was a soft. And then really struggled towards the second half of the stint. Is that going to be the case here? Is he going to struggle in the last quarter or so of this race on those worn out mediums? Are the drivers around him going to be able to compromise on that? That's another question. Plenty of variables still yet to be decided here. Lexford hasn't really made much of an impression in this race yet. Neither is Camel, thankfully, because if Camel won this race, we'd have to just send him straight to F1. The first driver to ever go from F4 to F1. I haven't seen that before. Alex has kind of just gone into his own little world there. He's in P10. Ryan has kind of calmed down the terrorism. Good man yourself. Isfod and Bios fighting here. Isfod's going to have to pit soon as well. And Michael has gotten past Vince. We missed that because of Isfod and Lex. So it is Michael up to P1. He's going to have to try and pull away from Vince ASAP. Get out of that DRS, but Vince has got a better exit here, and he's going to have DRS. It's going to help him get him by 2 or 3 tenths. Just about over a tenth he gains. But look at that. As Mateus and Newman now fighting as well. Mateus in the more untraditional overtaking spot of turn 4 or turn 5, whatever it is. Bruce Lee as well, sticking closely to the back of Zeman. His mediums are going to start to get a bit tired in the next few laps, and these drivers should all be running these tyres to the end of the race. The only one obviously is Isfod, who should be pitting. Bruce is getting quite close to the back of his Polish competitor. As Lemkus now sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's 2 seconds clear of Vince already, nearly. And what can Mr. Bruce Lee do? Zeman trying to break the toe. And Bruce doesn't get close enough in the end, probably not running low enough wings. Isfod finally into the pits, no safety car came. And now another helping in DRS for Bruce. But again, not close enough. A bit late on the brakes there, but that's okay. And he's actually gained a bit of time as a result of that. He's gained quite a bit of time, 2/10. And he's still gaining more and more time as a result of it. Lex arriving on the scene as well, so it's a McLaren sandwich with the Williams in the middle as the meet. In Sector 2 at the moment in lap 20 of 33. Mohammed and Mason fighting further down the field for P12 and P11 side by side out of the exit of turn 5 they go. As Edzak waiting in the wings to capitalise on any mistake. We're going to go back up to the McLaren sandwich though. And Lex can see all this unveiling in front of him or happening right before his eyes. Further up the field from this, Mateus and Samuel are fighting yet again. Vince just over a second and a half away from Michael. Michael's been very commanding this whole race. Hasn't led the whole race, but he's seemed to be in control for the majority of it. So here we go. Can Bruce make the move this time? He's going to go for it. Into turn 1. And he gets the move done there. Very, very nicely done by the Englishman. And that brings him up to P4. But Zeman not finished yet. And Lex right on the back of him here. Lex said to us the other day, this is a new Lex Hod. I'm not attacking my teammates. I'm not going crazy. Zeman lets him through as well. So a bit of team orders there. Zeman has quite a little moment, a bit of a wobble there. New Lex Hod not going Mad Max style on his teammates. Good to see. Good to see. Really developing into a great prospect. I remember a few seasons ago when it was his first season in the Ero. He was quite slow, as I think Mason Piper's had a bit of a moment. And you know, last season he really made a massive jump from the season before in F3. Should have really been challenging for the title if Louis Morel wasn't in the tier. Probably would have won the title in my opinion. But he's now developing that maturity that you need to be a good racer, whether it's in sim racing or in real life. You know, you just need to be patient and not always try and win the race on the first lap. It's only something DNFing really teaches you. But anyway, Lex very close to the back of Bruce here on the fresher mediums, and he's going to get this move up to P5 he goes. Further up the field, Michael nearly 3 seconds clear of Vince. He's managed this race very, very well. Bruce in his first season with us in Ero, really cementing that he is here to stay. Seems to be quite a nice lad. Always active in the chat as well, which is what you love to see. Wish more people were like that. Helps bring the community vibe and spirit. Makes the Ero a home for people. As Ronaldinho gets a 3-second time penalty. Kamil Plezhakinski, as speaking of Bruce, he's quite the wobble there, and that's going to let Zeman through. Kamil, another, I think he's his first season, but he's been quite active as well on the server. It's good to see. Races in a lot of different tiers. Alex Theodore is a torpedo. Ryan Shahinen is a terrorist. Suits them to be both in the Sauber. Isfad, another F4 legend, F5 legend. He's been around for a long time. Always races whenever he gets the chance. A very good lad. But we go back up the front, and Michael now nearly 3 seconds ahead of Vince. Making a lot of progress. Looking for, I think, his maiden win in Ero as well. Closing into the back of Mateus. Knows he doesn't have to overtake him to get P3 in the race. Just needs to stick with him. Bruce just goes, well, I can't tell if that was desync or what off. It looked like Bruce was a mile off the track there. Brian is one of the closest drivers to a competitor at the moment. Bruce as well. Newman's time's dropping all around the place. He had a bit of a wobble there, as Mateus had a wobble. But he has to be careful not to fall outside DRS here. And it looks like he is going to drop outside of DRS as the McLarens swap positions again. Those mediums surely the slower of the two tires between them and the hards at this point in the race. As we enter into lap 24 of 23, and Michael 3 seconds in the lead. Great stuff. really pushing on here. As, again, the McLaren's fighting. So it's not fun and games anymore. The gloves are off and these two are squabbling. With the Williams in the middle. At one point it was a Williams 1-3. Now Bruce dropped all the way down to P7 after pits. And Mohamed Issa and Mason Piper fighting for P12 on the track. Excuse me. And again, Zeman getting very, very close back to Lex in sector 2. Bruce waiting to capitalise if these two go belly up and go all Rosberg and Hamilton on each other. Now nearly 4 seconds is the lead between Vince and Michael. Some big deltas appearing towards the top. And Harry Jetters this evening, if he raced, he might have caused some chaos here and stuck his nose in the top 4, top 3, maybe even won the race, who knows. Ryan Sherman, our next driver, to get a 3-second track penalty. 3-second track limits penalty, whatever you want to call it. 5 drivers so far. And here comes Zeman, he's really getting closing in on Lex. Doesn't make the move though. Sticking very close with each other, these two. Is the team game still on here though for the McLarens? That's the question. But it looks like McLaren are going to get a haul of points this evening. But Bruce is not going away and never mind. And Newman 2 seconds away from Mateus as well. Mateus 4 seconds away from Vince. As we see Shadow and Mohammed fighting yet again. As Ronaldinho Nisfod fighting as well. Camel happily sitting in P8 at the moment. Not a care in the world. As yet again, these three still squabbling along, the McLarens and one of the Williams. Again, P11 and P12 are squabbling along. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. What for we haven't seen. As we've just got a handful of laps left to go. And at this point in the race, I think Michael has this sewn up. And I think Vince has P2 sewn up. Great showing from them. And Newman's gotten past Mateus, but it doesn't really matter because Mateus has that 3-second time penalty. Lex and Zeman still battling out here. But as it stands, unless something drastic happens in the last few laps of this race, I think this is pretty much where the field is going to be. This is a relatively incident-free race. I can't see there being many incidents being reported for Darrell Land to be stewarding this weekend. However, we will see these two go at it yet again. Mateo's getting the overtake done with the assisting of DRS. Now, can he pull a 3-second gap out? That is the question. Just a few laps to go. Can Newman stay with him? Further down the field, the same three that have been fighting all race long, still at it. As oh, hold on, what's this now? As Mohamed Issa has retired, but has he retired on track? I think he has retired on track, you know. Naughty, naughty. You're lucky I'm not Wrongson, because if I was Wrongson, I would have reported that by now. Good thing that Matthew's not commenting F2 tonight. Lemkes still streaking ahead here, and Mateus 7 seconds off the mark. So it's been very dominant from the top two in a league of their own, to be honest with you. It hasn't helped that Mateus and Newman have also been fighting, but a lot to be said for these drivers that have just in a league of their own this evening. Great stuff. I think, again, unless something drastic happens, I think that's all she wrote for tonight, folks. So, great stuff here. Mateus and Newman giving us a show. As Mateus looking here to make the move on an unconventional part of the track. I think so, more so than to scare Samuel into a mistake. And he's probably kicking himself for getting that 3-second time penalty he did earlier on in the race. Like that, just 3 laps to go, 4 laps to go. Anyway, as Mateus now with DRS, he's closing in on Samuel, but I don't think he's going to get this move done this time. However, Zeman and Lex side by side through turn 1. Bit of ghosting action happened there, and Lex almost goes into the back of him. We're all seeing this from Bruce Lee's point of view. Bruce now also closing in on Lex. Pack. This is a disaster for... Oh, what's happened now? Oh, I've been booted out. Wow. Well, I'm going to assume Michael won this race, as I've got an invite from Alex already. F1 24, you gotta love it. And I can't join. Well, we are back. Thankfully. That would have been a bit of an anticlimactic end to the race. Hopefully I don't cause too much desync joining back into the lobby. I guarantee we missed all the chaos imaginable now. Well, it looks like to be Michael still P1 and Vince P2, as there's just 2 laps to go. Newman in P3, we have missed it all. It all has all unfolded just while we were away, as Lex is in P4, Mateus is in P5, and Zeman is in P6. Really missed it all. As we enter into the final lap of the race, and Mateus and Lex going side by side. We're seeing this from Zeman's point of view. Lex is going to have to get the move, but here comes Mateus there with a mini switchback, and he's going to get the better exit out of turn 4. Here's Alex Theodore gets a 3-second time penalty. It's all happening now. And Lex is going to take the inside line here into turn 5. Mateus, though, with the better exit. That was beautiful. Even with this time penalty, he's still battling away. Very, very good stuff. And he's just darted off into the distance. And this might be all she wrote, folks. We will go back up to Mr. Michael Gavez as he crosses the line, though, for his maiden win in Ero. It's been a dominant display from the man in the Williams. He was on pole. He'll take the win. Vince Vincenza will take P2 for a podium for him. Next across the line will be Samuel Newman, but we're just going to go back to this fight here. It doesn't seem to be anything else that's going to be happening. Newman will take P3. Mateus will cross the line in P4, but will drop all the way down to P7 as Bios will take P4. Zeman will take P5. Bruce Lee will chop his way into P6. Mateus will take P7, Camille P8. Interesting. Alex P9. Edzak P10. Ryan giving the next driver leading this quartet behind him. Into P11. But Ronaldinho, no, it doesn't change positions. As I think that's been a fantastic drive by Michael there. Lovely, lovely stuff. Anyway, let's just round it out. So, Michael Gavez, Lemkis P1, Vince Vincenza P2, Samuel Newman in P3, Lex Hod in P4, Zeman Iwanik P5, Bruce Lee, Mateus, unfortunately that 3-second time penalty for him, ends up in P7, sorry. Kamil Blezikinski, F4 driver, F3 winner, P8. Alex Theodore in P9, Edzak rounds out the top 10. Ryan, Ronaldinho, Mason, Isfad, Mohammed, Domi and Axel round out the rest of the grid. F1 is starting in about 20 minutes time. Tune in to see more intense action in Portimao in Ero. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your weekend.